Hello, everyone. This is Jenny Fern. This month of July, I'm posting a video every day. So if you want to follow along with that, feel free to subscribe. Today's video is all about doing chop and drop in the garden. So one of the kind of regular maintenance, more frequent versions of chop and drop that I'll do is trim down my weeds and then lay them down right in place. So that's what I'm doing here with this bristly ox tongue weed, which is not the most pleasant weed, but you know, this one has some flower heads, so those will probably proliferate in this area a little bit, which is fine. It's okay. I'm okay with trimming things down and using them in the garden. One of my most annoying weeds that I'm dealing with in the front yard right now is some grasses that spread very vigorously through rhizomes. And so that one is a little bit difficult. It's also not, you can't really chop it easily because it's kind of low growing. So, anyway, there are some plants that lend themselves to chop and drop a little bit more. A lot of people in the permaculture world talk about comfrey, but I don't have that in my garden. I haven't ever gotten any, but I do have a lot of weeds. I also have curly dock, which I think I might use as kind of I think it's a deep-rooted plant, so I might use it as one of those deep, tap-rooted nutrient accumulator type chop and drops. But right now we have bristly oxtongue in this area. I do have some curly dock that is growing in my actual garden bed, and I will be harvesting that soon. I've used it, I've made a flower with it before, and I'm hoping to harvest some more to make, kind of a flower and use that in some cooking soon. The other plant that I need to trim down a little bit and I can use in the garden is this big, super spiny rosebush. So I'm not sure if this was accidentally planted, but this is kind of what it seems like now. There's this very, very spiny rose bush. It has these pale pink flowers, and within this rose bush there's another rose that's kind of less vigorous, and it has these beautiful kind of orangey pink, very, very bright, looks like a cultivated rose, and it is less spiny, but this spiny rose, or this thornier rose, is a really vigorous grower. So I think it maybe was planted either by a bird or by the rose hips of the cultivated rose, and is just kind of growing wild around the more tame rose. So I'm trimming down this plant a little bit, and I might as well put the dropped trimmings onto the garden beds that I have. This will serve a few functions. Hopefully it'll deter cats from digging into this garden bed. I don't want to hurt them, but I would like to deter them from digging up my plants. I do have my own cats, and my indoor-outdoor cat, Gordon, he does dig at my garden beds, and I do try to yell at him, and he doesn't care. I guess yell at him is maybe harsh. I've sometimes tried to move him while he's just started to dig into the area, and he just doesn't quite understand what's going on. So I'm probably not pruning this very well, but I just need to give it a bit of a haircut because, there you can see Gordon flipping his tail in the background there. But anyway, I'm giving this plant a little bit of a trim down so that I can get around it. I actually mowed I think the morning that I filmed all this chop and drop. As you can see, it's very overcast. It's been really nice because it's been getting to about 100 during the peak of the day, but in the morning it's been really, really nice and cool and overcast, so I can get a lot of garden work done. But then around maybe 9 in the morning, the clouds start to burn off, and then it gets like hot. So I'm pretty sure after I trimmed everything down, I went and mowed around all of these plants, and I was able to kind of make things look a little bit tidier. I'm not the tidiest gardener, not at all by a long shot, because I do these kinds of permaculture methods, and I'm probably a little bit messy on the permaculture side of things too. I'm not very clean within the garden. So it looks better than it usually does in terms of tidiness. So yeah, I put the rose cuttings down onto the garden bed, and then it got its vengeance on me. And then I moved on to some of these grapevines as well, which I'll show you in a little bit after I show you the result of just the roses. So here you can see that it's not a ton of material, but it's definitely more than was there before. And you can also see all of the other old, dead, dry chop and drop from previous sessions. So I've decided to trim down my grapevines, and I'm thinking this might be a good option for my climate. My area is using grapevines as a chop and drop material. I think I'll look into a little bit more about their nutrient like makeup, but the vines grow very, very rampantly. As you can see, they take over the area, and these are vines that I'm chopping off. These are not producing grapes. The bulk of the plant in the center is producing grapes, and I'm not trimming that off. But these tendrils that are extending outwards, they're not producing anything, and I'm going to trim them down in the winter anyway when I do my grapevine pruning. So I'm thinking if I can propagate some more grapevines with the prunings that I take off in the winter, that it might be a pretty good chop and drop material, because I have plenty of grapes from these grapevines for my uses. I'm going to try to make wine this year, probably. We'll see how that goes. So, maybe I'll want more grapes in the future, but for now I have plenty with these 3 grapevines. I have some table grapes and then 2 seedless varieties. The seedless, well, I think it's just 1 seedless variety, but I have 2 of them. The seedless grapes are really, really nice. Not having the seeds is such a benefit just for eating the plant. The table grapes that have the seeds in them, they're kind of a hassle to eat. For me to be a picky eater, I don't know if that's allowed. But yeah. Anyway, maybe I'll try to grow some different weird new varieties with all of the seeds that I have from the seeded variety. But anyway, so yeah, it's a huge amount of material, and in my very, very dry Mediterranean-like climate, this might be a great option for chop and drop mulch material in the summer, because these plants do very, very well. As you can see, they're growing like crazy, and it might be because they're so well established, because they're old vines. But I'm thinking of growing quite a lot in my front yard along my front fence line. If I can get some started this winter, then I will be able to use that material in the front yard, which would be, just great to get some mulch on the ground. A great way to produce your own mulch. I haven't gotten in outside mulch since I did a load of wood chips last May. I think. So it's been over a year. I'd love to get some more wood chips in, especially for the front yard to cover up some of the grass that's growing up through all the wood chips there. And I'd love to get some on this side yard as well because the wood chips are not that thick over here. I broke my pruners. The spring fell out and I couldn't find it. So for now I'm using my pruners with a glove because I ended up giving myself a blood blister. Here are how the grapes are coming along. They look pretty good. They're not ready yet. They'll be ready in the fall. But they're starting to look pretty plump. So now is the time when I can tell that I'm not going to, take some of my harvest by harvesting all of this extra grapevine material. And you could see I covered the whole side yard bed. I also have been trimming down my apricot. I did some more work on that I did not film, but I am dropping that woody material over in this area because this is the area that I have an apple tree and I think it's a plum, but it might be an apricot tree over in this area. I also have a little date palm. And so this is more of my tree perennial area. So just hit the tree, the little baby tree there. And so I'm putting my woody material here. So that's it for this video. Let me know what your favorite chop and drop plant is. And always, thank you for watching.